Love often arrives quietly, without announcement, slipping into a man's life like a familiar song he did not know he had been humming. For Obinna, love came in the form of a woman who never demanded attention but earned it through patience, kindness, and quiet strength. Before bitterness and regret found him, before shame stripped him of pride, Obinna once believed he understood love and loyalty. Obinna was known as a man who valued comfort and admiration. He worked hard enough to live well, saved his earnings carefully, and enjoyed the respect that came with being dependable. People trusted him with money, with secrets, and sometimes with their daughters' futures. He liked that respect. It fed his confidence and gave him a sense of control over his world. When Ifeoma entered his life, she did not arrive with drama or loud promises. She was modest, soft-spoken, and diligent, the kind of woman who noticed small details others ignored. She remembered names, listened more than she spoke, and offered help without expecting praise. Her beauty was gentle rather than striking, but it carried warmth that made people feel at ease around her. Their connection grew slowly, shaped by shared conversations and consistent presence. Obinna admired how she carried herself with dignity, how she spoke with restraint, and how she valued peace. He pursued her earnestly, presenting himself as a man ready to build a future. His words were careful, his actions convincing. He promised protection, companionship, and provision, swearing she would never face hardship alone. Ifeoma believed him. Their union was celebrated quietly but joyfully. Friends admired the harmony between them, and elders spoke well of Obinna's choice. In the early days of marriage, affection flowed freely. Obinna doted on his wife, praising her cooking, her loyalty, and her respect. He defended her in conversations, boasted about her discipline, and treated her presence as a source of pride. Ifeoma, in return, poured herself into the marriage. She woke early, managed the home carefully, and supported her husband without complaint. She listened when he spoke about his ambitions, encouraged him when he worried, and trusted him completely. To her, love was service, and marriage was partnership. For a while, happiness settled comfortably between them. When Ifeoma discovered she was pregnant, fear and joy mixed in her heart. She wondered how Obinna would respond, whether the responsibility would weigh heavily on him. When she shared the news, his initial reaction filled her with hope. He smiled, lifted her, and spoke proudly of becoming a father. He told others, accepted congratulations, and behaved as though nothing could disturb their joy. But time has a way of revealing truths people hide from themselves. As the pregnancy progressed, Ifeoma's body changed. Her strength reduced, her appetite shifted, and her once effortless grace gave way to careful movements. She became thinner in some places, heavier in others, and tired more often. The glow that once softened her face faded beneath exhaustion and discomfort. Obinna noticed. At first, he said nothing. Then he began spending less time at home. Conversations shortened. Praise disappeared. Where he once touched her affectionately, he now maintained distance. When she spoke, he responded vaguely. At night, he turned away, claiming fatigue or stress. Ifeoma sensed the change but did not understand it. She blamed herself, believing pregnancy had made her demanding or weak. She tried harder, pushing herself beyond comfort to please him. She cooked better meals, cleaned longer, smiled through pain, and avoided complaints. Still, Obinna withdrew, What Ifeoma did not realize was that Obina's affection had always been fragile, anchored more to appearance than character. As her body no longer fit his idea of desirability, his interest weakened. He found himself comparing her to other women, noticing their slim waists, lively laughter, and effortless beauty. That was when Zainab caught his attention. Zainab was admired openly. She invested time in her appearance, rarely missed an opportunity to admire herself, and knew how to command attention. Her beauty drew stares, and she welcomed them eagerly. She avoided hard work, dismissed domestic responsibility, and lived comfortably on admiration and charm. Obina was drawn to her without restraint. He justified his interest quietly, telling himself it was harmless, that he deserved pleasure and admiration. He began seeking excuses to leave home, encountering Zainab casually and lingering in her presence. She noticed his interest and encouraged it with laughter and flirtation. Meanwhile, Ifeoma felt increasingly alone. She confronted Obina gently, asking if she had offended him. He dismissed her concerns, accusing her of overthinking and exaggeration. His tone carried irritation rather than reassurance. From that moment, the emotional distance widened. Rumors began to circulate. People whispered about Obina's absence and Zainab's growing confidence. Ifeoma heard fragments of conversations, noticed lingering glances, and felt humiliation settle into her spirit. Still, she hoped. Still, she prayed. Still, she believed love could return. Obina, however, had already begun to abandon the woman who carried his child. By the end of her pregnancy's early months, he no longer pretended affection. He spoke harshly, criticized her appearance, and avoided responsibility. The love that once defined their home dissolved into silence, resentment, and neglect. Unseen by many, the foundation of their marriage cracked quietly, preparing the ground for suffering, betrayal, and a lesson neither would ever forget. He said he no longer enjoyed coming home. He admitted feeling embarrassed by her appearance and tired of responsibility. Each word struck deeply, but his voice held no regret. That night, Ifeoma understood that love without character does not survive sacrifice. Days later, Obina began appearing openly with Zainab. They laughed together in public spaces. Whispers followed them, but Obina ignored them. Some people pitied Ifeoma, others judged her silence. In a world quick to praise beauty, few defended endurance. Then came the day of expulsion. Ifeoma returned from borrowing food to find her belongings thrown outside. Clothes, kitchen items, and personal effects lay scattered. Obina stood at the doorway, unmoved. He told her to leave, saying he could no longer live with her. When she reminded him of their vows and the child she carried, he turned away. Neighbors gathered as she begged. Obina accused her of trapping him with pregnancy and declared that her presence embarrassed him. When she reached for him, he stepped back. With shaking hands and a breaking heart, Ifeoma gathered her belongings and walked away, carrying both shame and life inside her. The road ahead showed no mercy. She moved from place to place, rejected by relatives who feared burden. Hunger weakened her body, but she guarded her unborn child fiercely. At night, she cried quietly and spoke hope to herself. Even when belief felt distant, one afternoon, exhaustion overcame her, and she collapsed near a roadside stall. People passed, uninterested, until Mama Halima noticed her. Mama Halima was known for her calm wisdom and kind spirit. She offered water, shade, and listening ears. When she learned of Ifeoma's abandonment, she made a choice without delay. She took Ifeoma home. Under Mama Halima's care, healing began. Proper meals, rest, and encouragement replaced neglect. Mama Halima reminded her that pregnancy is not a curse and that a woman's worth does not vanish with hardship. She taught Ifeoma small traits and prepared her emotionally for motherhood. Slowly, Ifeoma's strength returned. Meanwhile, Obinna believed he had chosen happiness. He welcomed Zainab into his home proudly. At first, everything felt exciting. But beauty soon revealed its emptiness. Zainab avoided housework, wasted money, and offered little care. Meals were inconsistent, and arguments replaced affection. Still, Obinna endured, determined not to admit his mistake. Zainab, however, observed quietly. She noticed where Obinna kept his savings and memorized his routines. One morning, after he left, she packed his money and disappeared without warning. Obinna returned to an empty house. Panic seized him. He searched desperately, questioned neighbors, and retraced steps, but Zainab was gone. Reality crushed him slowly. The woman he chose for beauty had taken everything. With nothing left, Obinna remembered Ifeoma. He searched until he found her living peacefully under Mama Halima's roof. She looked healthy, calm, and dignified. Shame overwhelmed him. He fell to his knees, apologized, and begged for forgiveness. Mama Halima listened silently, then refused him entry. She reminded him that love abandoned once does not easily return. She sent him away family. As Obinna walked off, broken and empty, he understood too late. The woman he rejected found peace. The beauty he chased destroyed him. And Karma spoke without anger.